More is the CEO and president of Actua, Jennifer Flanagan. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Pleasure is all ours. Thank you very much. So, okay, kids, young people, they're quick studies, right? They're really elastic and they're resilient, but there was no playbook on how we were going to manage a pandemic. And there's a lot that's been made about COVID slide, learning gaps. How is this being presented in the real world right now that we're slowly coming out the other end? Are young people going to be able to catch up with their studies and with their skills training?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, listen, we all know that COVID has dramatically changed the way that we work. We're experiencing it still. And even pre-pandemic, we were really experiencing the changes due to technological advancements, right? So AI and robotics and automation, all of those things dramatically changing the way jobs are actually, working. So that is going to require us to start to reimagine how education happens. And the pandemic has only exacerbated the kinds of gaps that we've seen in the past around the skills that are going to be required, the number of people that we need to fill those skills. So like today, Youth Skills Day is a really important time. And I love that you mentioned that in the intro. Youth have been so resilient and so creative in how they've dealt with this, as have their teachers and parents. And now it's time for us to say, okay, what's going to be needed in the future in terms of the way that the world of work is actually going to be post-pandemic.
All right, Jennifer, tell us more about Actua, your crusade, your outreach, your ground game, including to BIPOC communities and for young girls, women. It's all about inclusion. It's all about equity and getting ready for those jobs, right?
So what we know is in the workforce of the future is going to require that combination of very in-demand tech skills with those more so-called soft but human skills, I like to call them. And what Actua works on is making sure that youth have access to experiences that build that unique combination of skills. The best way to do that is through STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and math. So Actua works across the country democratizing STEM, so making sure that there's equitable access to those groups that you talked about, to make sure that we have youth who are building the skills and confidence in science and technology that are going to be required for them to be leading the workforce of the future. And if we don't do that, we're going to have those gaps in our workforce that employers across the country are very worried about. And just one more point is that we know that diversity in these fields actually leads to greater economic benefit for everybody. So it's really, really important that we engage all youth in these activities.
Sure. These outputs lead to better outcomes, for sure. You mentioned STEM, STEM and skilled labor. There's legitimate fears, not just domestically, but in terms of brain drain. We risk losing some of our best and brightest if we don't get government and the private sector and NGOs all working together to invest now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so there is a recognition, and we need that to continue. There's a recognition that we need to engage youth early in building not only the skills and confidence in science and technology, but also the awareness of what the opportunities are in Canada. And the economy of the future is going to be built on science and technology in this country. And if we can get those youth engaged and excited and understanding what the opportunities are, then we have a higher likelihood of actually keeping them engaged and leading the innovation economy of the future.
Jennifer Flanagan, the CEO and president of Actua, thank you so much for your time on this World Youth Skills Day. Real quick, where can people reach out for more, because this goes on?
Absolutely. So we have programs across the country to do this skill development at actua.ca. People can find more information and resources that they can use at home and at school.
Jennifer, thanks so much. Great chat.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll take a short break and be back with your headlines in just a few minutes here on CP24 Breakfast.